Ano pala ako, mga baba?
Hello, hello, good evening, everybody, and I hope everybody's doing fine tonight. And we would like to thank you for joining us this evening. I am JP Lopo, and I will be your host moderator for tonight's meetup. So while we are waiting for the rest to be able to join us in the Zoom, and for the rest to tune in via our DepEd Calamba YouTube account, please introduce yourself. Tell us about your name and your school or your organization. Okay, and we'll be starting in a bit. Thank you so much, and please stay with us. Once again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to DepEd Columbus City's English for Media Literacy for Educators on our fourth camp-wide meetup. How are you doing so far with the course? Would you like to tell us through your comments as to where you are now in the course? Have you finished the second module? Are you now working or have started working on module 3? Ayan, please let us know in your comments. For those who are joining us via the Vision of Columbus City YouTube account, please let us know kung asang module na kayo. Okay? And this evening also, we would like to find out what has been most insightful, what has been most impactful, what has been most significant to you as a learner of this course, English for Media Literacy, that's designed for us educators. And later we'll be reading some of your comments. Once again, thank you so much for joining us this evening. And if your friends, your colleagues are not yet with us in the Zoom meeting room or not yet tuned in our YouTube live, please do remind them, invite them that they can't miss this very beautiful, wonderful, and informative session that we have for you tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, for us to begin, may I invite everybody for the nationalistic song, which will be followed by a prayer.
Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw, Pilipinas kong mahal, ang puso ko at buhay man sa iyo'y ibibigay. Tungkulin kong nagampanan na lagi kang paglingkuran. Ang laya mo'y babantayan, Pilipinas kong mahal. Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw, Pilipinas kong mahal, ang puso ko at buhay man sa iyo'y ibibigay. Tungkulin kong nagampanan na lagi kang paglingkuran. Ang laya mo'y mabantayan, Pilipinas kong
Let us put ourselves in the holy presence of our Lord. Our dearest Heavenly Father, thank you for making all things possible. We are grateful for all the blessings you are pouring upon each one of us, despite the challenges we are all currently facing. Thank you for blessing us today with the wonderful opportunity to meet virtually and learn together in the awesomely exciting webinar. May your blessings of wisdom and guidance be upon us, all through the sharing and impartation of knowledge and skills by our resource speakers, facilitators, and moderators. May all of us learn together, upgrade our competencies, and capacitate us to be the help in the development of our learners' lives and communities in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we now humbly commit every part of this webinar to you as we all bring you the glory, honor, and praises for your kingdom and holy name's sake. All this we pray in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Yes, there you have it. And tonight, as promised, we're going to learn some more all together so that we'll be able to improve ourselves and the way we do facilitate teaching and learning despite the very challenging circumstance or context that we are in because of COVID-19 pandemic. And as part of the Schools Division Office of Calamba City, we are more than committed to provide you ways and means, avenues for us to be able to share with you wonderful opportunities to learn and continue learning some more. And one of our driving forces is the leadership of our schools division superintendent, who has been very supportive of us. And tonight, she has graced us with her presence. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you our schools division superintendent for a welcome remarks, Madam Susan D.L. Oribiana.
Thank you very much, Sir JP. And to all our participants, good evening. I know that you had spent a whole day working and attending to the needs of your students, and still you're here with us. You're joining your fellow learners so that we can continue learning and equipping ourselves with enough competence so that our children would have a very enjoyable learning journey with you. And I know that we also have not just teachers, but also school leaders who are joining us and doing these MOOC activities. I've tried joining your group, but the demands of our work has prevented me from really pursuing this course. But I really would like to attend even just one course so that I could experience the excitement that you all are experiencing with this course, which is something that Sir JP has brought to us. These MOOC courses or massive open online courses had been around for quite a number of years, as we learned from our previous speakers, but I know that most of us became aware of this only after Sir JP introduced it to us. Although a number of us has been aware of that, of this before, but we were not fully encouraged to participate or to try to experience this. But this pandemic has opened our eyes and encouraged us to explore new avenues of learning and learning with others and joining in exploring what else can we do. This MOOC course that you are currently working on is something that is not just for the millennials, not just for those who were born with the computers and the Wi-Fi's, but even for us na sabi nga natin are immigrants in this kind of digital environment. Nevertheless, we rise to the challenge and we embrace this challenge and we go ahead with learning through the massive online open courses. And I hope you really continue to finish this course and not just finish this course, but embark on this long journey of learning through this kind of platform. Hope you enjoy your night, kahit medyo pagod na siguro ang iba. And I hope you will be able to share a lot of learnings, a lot of experiences, and enkindle in each other the desire to learn more and to grow better as educator. Again, welcome all to this camp meet and enjoy your night. Enjoy the learning. Good evening.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Susan. No, it's been a long day for us since this morning. We have been attending to a lot of activities, a lot of tasks that we have to perform, plus the call to lead seminar that we had in the morning. And this is a way for us to be able to show you that we also never stop from learning, because we know that in learning there's growing. And please know that at the division level, we would like to give you the very best. We would like to offer you doors to more opportunities so that we can further improve ourselves. As we always believe that the quality of education cannot exceed the quality of its workforce, specifically the teachers and the school leaders. And so tonight is, again, I believe, will be an exciting night. And to add to the reminders that we normally follow during online meetings such as this, we have some more reminders. Sir Bean, can you please share the screen? So your participation by attending to this event, you may be photographed, and your participation allows English language programs, a program of the U.S. Department of State, to use your image in photographs, videotapes, and electronic reproduction. Content may be included on digital and print media to promote exchange programs and public diplomacy efforts, but will not be used for commercial purposes. So once again, tonight, we have this activity. The next slide will tell us that this is brought to us by the U.S. Department of State through the English language programs and in partnership with the Philippine Normal University, where our resource person is currently affiliated. So this session tonight is about media literacy, civic engagement, and assessment workshop. And we're very happy to introduce to you our resource person all the way from the United States of America. She is from Detroit, Michigan, and has been working in the international education development industry for the past 10 years. Her professional experience online spans across 4 continents and 4 countries in person. In 2020, she started her virtual fellowship with the State Department English language programs and has been leading online teacher training courses in Morocco, Tunisia, Libya, Algeria, and now the Philippines. Her TESOL expertise and interests are 21st century skills, motivation, materials development, media literacy, gamification, project-based service learning, and most recently, language hacking. In her free time, she enjoys cooking, running, swimming, hiking, and camping. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me with a warm round of virtual applause. Our resource person for tonight, Miss Professor Megan Abramson. Megan, good evening and good morning there in the US.
Hi, good morning and good evening to you all. What a wonderful introduction. Thank you so much for inviting me here today. And thank you all for joining in this meetup. It's an honor to be a part of this event. And I'm coming to you from hot and humid Michigan. So thank you all. I can sympathize with the hot. I always see all of my students with the fans in the background and blowing their hair. So I know how you guys are feeling. And I wanted to thank all of the organizers, especially Ma'am Susan with the Department of Education, Ma'am Connie at the U.S. Embassy for inviting me here, and of course, Mr. JP for setting this all up. And I'm very excited to be talking to you all about digital media literacy, civic engagement, and assessment. So let's begin. And I'm going to need some help with monitoring the chat box and things like that. So thank you very much. We can begin. All right, so as Mr. JP mentioned, I'm a virtual English language fellow from the U.S. Department of State, and I'm also teaching at PNU materials development course at the moment. So this is the MOOC camp, as you all are aware. And to let you guys know, I also joined the MOOC camp and I'm trying to catch up to you all. And now we're at week 4 just to understand a little bit more about what you all have been experiencing and learning throughout the last 3 to 4 weeks. And it's very interesting material. So thank you for allowing me to speak on this topic today. So first of all, I wanted to do a little bit of an introduction. I've been watching the chat box to see where you all are from. And I thought a way to get to know each other a little bit better would be to write down or try to enter in your most frequently used emojis. So we're all working in a digital virtual way. And, you know, we can't really express our emotions as much. So that's what these little emoticons help us do. And I just took a quick screenshot on my phone of the ones that I use the most. So it's good laughing, thumbs up, and praising. So I would be interested to see in what you all are doing as well, how you guys like to communicate with each other. And it's showing a little bit of our personalities. So if you could do that now, that would be great. So the workshop description for you all today is that what I would like to do by the end of this short time with you all today is to provide you all with some knowledge and concepts of the principles and approaches to media literacy, delving on a little bit deeper than what you have been already in terms of connection to civic engagement, and then how to assess our learners' knowledge of digital media. And it seems like all of our media has been digital recently. We'll be talking a little bit more about this. And even most recently, I mean, because of, as mentioned before, that we're all online, and because of COVID, and we have this huge learning curve with technology. And even I never led a Zoom chat or a Zoom share before last October. So we're all learning at such a rapid rate, and that means that our students are as well, and we have to keep up with them. So this is an important topic. And I wanted to make this workshop more contextualized for the Philippines and Southeast Asia for the audience. So, so that we can understand a little bit more about what's going on around us in our most immediate circle, of course, through a digital media lens, in order to contemporize. And finally, we'll be discussing different types of tools that you all can use to assess your learner progress in order to apply this knowledge. So also, if I miss, I see you all are sharing in the chat box now, and that's great. Look at all those emojis. I love it. Lots of hearts on there. That's fantastic. Lots of love in this group, isn't it? So if there are any questions as well, I would greatly appreciate it if any of the co-hosts here could help me out. Just feel free to stop me, as I might just be plowing along here. So what we will be able to do at the end is to understand civic engagement through a digital media lens, to connect the 21st century skills, media literacy, civic engagement, and assessment, locate and utilize civic engagement tools, and to be able to teach others about its benefits. So hopefully that's what you all will be able to do after this hour. And then this is just the time frame that to help me with that, and we'll have some time for Q&A at the end. So first of all, for our second warm-up, I would like to talk about the power of the hashtag. So hashtags didn't exist just a few years ago, and now they're so important to us, and they incorporate our learning about digital media literacy. And I just wanted to ask you all these two questions. What have been some popular hashtags in the past year that you have seen, and why are hashtags so powerful? So let's start off with the first question to see what you think. What have been some popular hashtags? And, as mentioned before, I'm in the US, so I haven't really been checking the popular hashtags in the Philippines, but after doing a little bit of research, I noticed that this turtle has been important in the hashtags in the last year. So let me know if you guys have any other examples of some hashtags. And also thinking about, why are they so powerful? These 4 lines all intersecting.
Yeah, Miss Megan, while our participants are still writing or typing in their answers, I would like to share that I remember that there was one point in time in the recent year that there was this hashtag Black Lives Matter. Yeah, and I think that was a way for them to advocate the importance of our brothers and sisters who are Blacks. Yeah.
Yes, that's a really great example, Mr. JP. Thank you so much. And that is definitely an example that I wrote down as well. And there, with the murders of George Floyd just recently, that we've had the 1-year anniversary already it's been 1 year. I can't believe it. But that really sparked this discussion and this conversation. And it's creating some changes in policies and in politics. Yeah.
Yeah, and another answer from our participants, Ma'am Weng Campbell, she said, hashtag we heal as one.
Whoa, wow, I haven't heard that one. What's that
Yeah,
one?
this is very popular here in the Philippines because of COVID-19 pandemic, and there's actually a song which was a collaboration of musical artists or singers in the Philippines, and they recorded a song, and they're all together in one video, but in different places, of course.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's like
Wow, wonderful. I love that. That's such a great way to bring people together. And as you mentioned, that we are all experiencing this pandemic, and it doesn't matter if we're rich or poor, what city you come from, what background you have, we are all one. I think that's a really great example. Thank you.
yeah, and very common to us in the Department of Education here in the Philippines. This is shared by Ma'am Carmina Tai. She's a principal. This hashtag para sa bata at para sa bayan, for the kids and for the country.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, that one is really great. I think that, we're all here as educators, and this is the main reason why we're all here, right? Is so that we can make sure that we are developing our youth or our future leaders. A great example. Thank you.
Yeah, and another from, I think I can't read because her name is written in backwards, but this is also a popular hashtag that we have in DepEd or in the Department of Education. Hashtag sulong edukalidad. It's like advocating, advancing quality education. So because we have now a shift in education, that before we were focusing on access, that more and more kids should be in school, but we have shifted to quality as the focus in today's time. Yeah.
Wow, that's wonderful as well. Wow, so many great hashtags about education here and bringing the community together. I think that that's so amazing. I'm not aware of any of the ones that we have like that in the US. So maybe you guys are the pioneers of that, and we'll have to learn from you guys.
Yeah,
Okay.
and there's this one very popular also. This started during the pandemic when online learning became possible and more popular. And there's something funny in here also, the hashtag learn as one PH. So every time they're participating in an online activity, a training or a webinar such as this, they are posting hashtag learn as one PH. That sometimes, even though they're watching something which is not anymore a webinar, they can they also write hashtag learn as one PH, forgetting that it's not anymore a webinar.
Wow. So man, I don't have to be teaching you guys about hashtags. You should be teaching me about these hashtags. You guys are coming up with some really great ones. And I think that it's so important because that's showing that we all understand how important it is to develop our communities and to be working together. And we're bringing awareness about our causes that we are passionate about and we care so much about. So I think that's really wonderful. And that answers our second question. Why are hashtags so powerful? I see here, Rizamia wrote down, helps people find others with the same opinion on the existing topic. Exactly. Yes. One way to share a statement to others who share the same thoughts. Exactly. You got it. Great. So that's just a little bit of a warm-up brainstorm to get you all thinking about this is media literacy. This is digital media literacy and the connection with civic engagement. So we didn't have these hashtags before, and this is something we have to learn about. And maybe this is something we need to teach our students as well. So what is the definition of civic engagement? On the civic engagement, there's a website about it for sure. And it tells us that it's working to make a difference in the civic life of one's community and developing the combination of knowledge, skills, values, and motivation to make a difference. It means promoting the quality of life in a community through both political and non-political processes. So we have to keep in mind that there are it's kind of like a Venn diagram of um, reasons why that we have this civic engagement, and one is political, one is non-political, but of course we have some overlapping there in the middle. So we'll talk more about that on the next slide. But here is a diagram of the 4 constructs of civic engagement to talk a little bit more about if you're interested more in to go in depth about civic engagement. But basically it's about working to make a difference in your life and in one's community. So there are, it's collaborative, it's reflective, and communicative. So these are our 21st century skills, right? We need all of these things going in together, and they're all working from each other. And what are these yellow arrows here? We're talking about the public issue goes in, and what do we hope comes out is that change. So when we have civic engagement and we promote civic engagement, you know, it's with a purpose. We're here to try to make a change, just as you mentioned with the quality of education in the Philippines. That's what that hashtag is trying to accomplish, that change. And if we follow all of these steps, then we might be able to achieve our goals. So as I mentioned before, civic engagement can be political and non-political, and some examples of political engagement would be to vote on a community level or national level. You yourself could join a political party. I know that in my classes, I have class presidents. So how did they get there? Were they nominated by their supervisor? Were they nominated by their class? Was it a more democratic process? Anyways, they're there now. You could also run for office, run for a position. The non-political spectrum would be doing community service and service learning projects. So they might be a little bit political, but it's not really the aim to be political for those types of projects. And of course, what the overlap would be to be have activism. So if there can be environmental advocacy, you can be an advocate. So for example, you might not experience BLM, but you can be an advocate, you can be an ally for them. That's how you can show your support. You can do that through volunteering, philanthropy, and fundraising. So these are just some examples. And project-based learning and service learning is kind of the epitome of how we can bring this into our classroom. It provides the practical experience, the academic study, and the civic engagement all in one. And this is something that I myself am so passionate about because I am a previous AmeriCorps member. This is a type of civic engagement that we have in the United States. This is a photo of me and my another volunteer who is, we were working at the Los Angeles vaccination site at Dodger Stadium back in March. So this was a group effort to combat COVID and to bring the community together to work to help each other. And this is why it's something so near and dear to myself and the way that I approach, you know, my subjects and it has an impact on my teaching as well. So just doing a quick search about some different types of civic engagement opportunities in the Philippines. This is another opportunity for interaction in the chat box. So I noticed, I just did a search for some civic engagement opportunities, and I noticed the most popular ones were the Alaya Young Leaders Congress, National Youth Commission, Palawan Conservation Corps, and so on. So if you guys are familiar with any of these civic engagement opportunities, please let us know. Or if there are some more in your community or national ones, you can please share those in the chat box as well. just so that we can kind of get a better idea of what's going on in our communities and to contextualize this civic engagement.
Yeah, for our participants, please let us know what civic engagements have you been involved in, except or apart from what we are seeing on the screen now. Actually, Megan, we have a lot here in the Philippines. Most of them are not really organized, such as these examples. Uh, Specifically now because of the situation, I don't know if you have heard of the community pantry that has been existing all over the Philippines. There were some individuals in groups who have put up pantries where they put some food. There's this a slogan that says, you give what you can and take what you need, so that other people who do not have access to food, they do not have money to buy food, they can get something from that pantry where there are tables with food on top of it, and people in the community are sharing and getting food. So that's the
Wow.
community pantry. And
Wow,
that
that's
has,
so beautiful. I love that their mission, their vision as well. That's really powerful. And I see some here in the chat box, Youth for Christ. That's a really great one, a great example. What does NSTPLTS stand for? Do you know?
yeah, the NSTP is part of the in college they have this subject. It's like a national service training program, community welfare something. It's like doing community projects, extending help to the people of the community.
Oh, this is actually, I have this one written down
Yeah,
here.
the
National Service
CWTS.
Training Program.
Yeah, correct.
Literacy Training Services. Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Zandra. And Jenny, it looks like you're in the Civic Welfare Training Service. That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, and another one of the ROTC one about college, Couples for Christ. Awesome. So I see that some of you guys are actually in some of these programs I found. So that's great. I had the right information there. And it's also great to see you guys being involved in your communities, as I'm sure that as educators, you're probably teaching your students about that as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to add that MOOC camps are also platforms for us to do service learning, civic engagement, because we share with the community what we have been learning. It's just that because of the pandemic, we cannot do it in person. So what we do is virtual service learning. Say, for example, we serve as resource persons to other teachers in all over the Philippines, and sometimes we also do train trainers in, yeah, last time we trained teachers from Mongolia
Wow.
for them to start their MOOCs also there.
Wow, what a great skill. So not only you're sharing it all with your community, you're sharing it outside of your community as well. That's a really great skill to have. It seems like people in the Philippines, they really they know how to, and they all like staying connected in their communities. So that's a really great example.
Yeah. And from YouTube, from Julie Ann, she said that we also do cleanup drives, community cleanup, bloodletting activity, soup kitchen, so things like
Okay.
those.
Yeah, great examples. That's awesome. I mean, I think in the United States we have soup kitchens and things like that, and it's really popular at Thanksgiving time to volunteer at a soup kitchen to help out some people who are struggling, or they might not be connected with their families. So that's another really great example.
Yeah. Filipinos are very much generous and helpful, especially in times of disasters, and even in normal days where problems are not occurring. So,
Do you think that's because of the and this is the first thing that I'm thinking of, is because of the tsunamis that there are? Then maybe people learn that, that if they've been affected by that, then maybe if someone is hurting now, then there might be someone who's hurting at another time. So there's that reciprocity principle of
yeah,
giving and receiving.
Yeah, and it's innate among us Filipinos to be of help to other people.
Wow, that's so beautiful. What a great quality to have.
And that's what
Okay.
we are proud about.
Yeah, definitely something to be proud of. That's awesome. Thank you. Okay, so what are we here doing now? Why are we talking about all of this civic engagement? Well, I'll tell you, the reason is because civic engagement has gotten a push up on the platform from digital media. So to understand about this a little bit more, we have to think about the ways in which we get our news through media and about how did we get it before the internet and how do we get it now. So in the chat box, if you could tell me, how do you get your news? So when you want to know what's going on in the world, what did you do? What do you usually do? What apps do you use? Do you turn on the TV? Do you go to the newsstand? Do you buy a newspaper? Watch on YouTube? Riza Mia, I am with you on that. I always watch on YouTube as well. Miss Connie, TV and radio. Great. Yep. Facebook, YouTube. Good, good. It seems like YouTube and Facebook, they have become pretty much our number one sources on receiving our news recently. And some of the reasons why this is because it's so fast, right? And you're able to access it wherever you are, whenever it's convenient for you. You don't have to go home at the end of the day at 5 o'clock and turn on the news or watch it in the morning, maybe like we used to on these scheduled times. But you can stream live news from BBC, from I'm not sure what channels you guys use in the Philippines, but the global ones like Al Jazeera, Sky News, you can watch those all the time. I see a lot of people saying on television, Facebook, YouTube, TV. Yeah, that's great. That's really, really great. So I think that the number one word we use for this is convenient, right? We're doing this because it's convenient. We can watch it when we want, we can watch how we want, we can watch just here, just from our phones, right? It's so easy. And if you have data plan, if you're connected, then that makes it a lot easier. So we have to take a step back now and to reflect, what are the cons of this? What are the negative implications? Why do we need to be careful about using these types of digital media platforms to get our news? So now in the chat box, I want you guys to tell me, what are some things we need to be careful about? Why must we be aware of using these platforms for our news? Yes, Riza Mia, definitely. Fake news, here we go. This is misinformation, right? We need to be very careful about fake news. Sometimes this can have really dire negative impacts on our civic engagement. It can we talked about the power of the hashtag before. It can ignite the flame on some types of protests, some civil unrest. So this is something that we have to be very careful about, because anybody can post anything. And right, just like Maribel said, it can be very biased. So a part of being digital media literate and the importance of learning to kind of catch those words that will imply the bias are really going to help us, um, you know, understand a little bit more about what we need to be worried about, what we don't need to be worried about, and what some news channels might be feeding to us, just maybe to get some type of clicks or to become popular. Because unfortunately, the nature of doing these free streamings is that the more people you watch, the more money you get, right? That's just how this digital age of influencers works. If you have more viewers, you have more subscriptions, everyone always hears, if you like this, please like and subscribe to my channel. We've heard this phrase over and over again after every YouTube video we've watched. The reason for that is because that's how they make their money. With all of the advertisements they put on, that's how they make their money. So it's important. Yes, clickbait. Anna, you said it. Clickbait is also one of our words that's probably just been invented in the last few years. Vloggers as well. And once we become aware of this and learn the importance of this, it's so important for us to teach our students as well. Our learners are even more, I would say, vulnerable to this type of clickbait, to this type of, they're luring in these, there are some bad people out there who are doing things for the wrong reason, to do the fake news, to do the clickbait. And we have to be aware of this so that we can stop it and we can teach others to be aware of it as well. Because this is something that is not really monitored, right? If you have children, you have students, and they're getting older, they're getting their cell phones, and we might not be able to monitor what they're doing all the time. And we want to teach them to be autonomous learners. So we don't want to have to hold their hand the whole time and tell them, this is good, this is bad. We want them to be able to learn how to make those decisions by themselves. And that's why it's important to teach digital media literacy in your classrooms, especially in terms of civic engagement.
Yeah, and yeah, Megan, and we have to guard ourselves as teachers against being like the spreaders, the ones sharing these information
Yes.
or wrong or fake news.
Yeah. How embarrassing would that be if we get caught up in the moment of a hot topic and then we share that information with our students and it turns out to be fake? We lose our credibility and we might do some real damage there. So it's important we be super, super critical about all of the media that we're consuming, as seductive as it can be sometimes with, just saying, just click here, just subscribe. Yes. Oh, yes, Vienna, 100%. Some news agencies lead to entertainment instead of giving information, right? That's what those tabloids are all about. It's just to get you to buy that magazine, right? To make them money. So yeah, and Susan mentions also maybe the ultimate consequence here, the extreme. So in the internet there was maybe they were encouraging some children to commit suicide. So this is how important it is. So our students and our children's lives could be at risk, and so it's important for us to understand the severity of this issue. So I think you all understand that now. That's great. Okay, so here's the impact of digital, especially social media, on civic engagement. So I think it was so interesting when we were talking about hashtags earlier, how connected everyone is in the Philippines. And maybe this is a contributing factor on why the people in the Philippines have rated #1 on the chart of countries whose people spend the most time on social media. Maybe because of that, feeling of wanting to be connected, to be a part of your community, sharing with the hashtags and things like that, that they've scored with #1. So that might be a reason why. That's very interesting. All right. And some some different types of social medias we see on here. Twitter, Facebook, we mentioned them before. And of course, memes. I thought this one was appropriate, the Batman one. Of course, the media affects us all, and we need to be careful with what we consume, because it might change us as, what we put into ourselves and what we watch has an effect on us, whether we like it or not. So we have to be very skeptical about what we see and very cautious. So here's the main part of the program, which is how can we implement this in our classrooms? Instead of just talking about it, what can we actually do to facilitate that change, to be the change that we want? So when I mentioned I signed up for these classes, the MOOC course as well, one of the resources I found was NAMLA, which is this light blue background with the black writing here, which stands for the National Association of Media Literacy Education. And this one, it looks like this here. So there is a journal, there are community resources, there is a group that you can join if you're interested about teaching this in your classes, or you want to train your teachers in your school about this topic. They have lots of different issues and their archives. So this is great. This website is great to get resources and information about events. But this one I noticed is called Museum Ed. And this is a really great website that I found out as well, because they have actual lesson plans that will teach your students about digital media literacy. So, for example, the first one that pops up, fighting fake news, how to outsmart trolls and troublemakers. And this is for grades 6 to 12 and even college and university. So I guess, it depends on the facilitator to see, how they want to, distribute this class. They can alter it for a different language level, but it has the objectives. And then you can learn about it here yourself. You have all of the downloads. So is this story share worthy? You can click on these PDFs, and when you open them up, it has these great infographics that you can, print out, you can send to your students. And there are just these really great discussion topics of becoming, literate in the digital media age. And, these resources are free. All I had to do was to sign up. I signed up for this website, but it's completely free. So I think when you want to do the training, then you might have to pay a fee. But all of these lesson plans are already available for you. And they have educator resources as well. Thousands of lesson plans talking about free speech. So this is the connection to the civic engagement, if you wanted to do that as well. They're very user friendly. It's not just about digital media. It's about religion as well. Here are some great news articles when we're looking back on history about how ways, media has been used as a propaganda tool. So this one I think would be really great in the classroom. And there are even games you can play about digital media literacy. So this one is called Lamboozled, and it's about battling misinformation and fake news. And I have all of these resources on my slides that I can share with you all. And they have links to all of these websites and all of to these articles if you're interested in using these. This article explains about using this game called Lamboozled to help battle misinformation. It has all of these cards that you can use to teach, this game to your class. And finally, a little bit more on the application and assessment of digital media literacy. I think that for 21st century language learners and teachers, the huge focus is on learner autonomy, right? To make sure that we're teaching our learners how to become self-sufficient and to think critically, to be communicative, all of those great qualities. So a part of that is the assessment as well. So instead of spending long hours creating a quiz or making a test, why don't we try to hack these assessments by getting them to do it themselves? And the way that we can assess is we can tell them to give us a reflection. We can tell them to grade themselves. We can give an assessment. We can tell them to create a project so that they can put it in their portfolios for something that they can use in the future. And another great example is PBL Works. So I'm a huge advocate of project-based learning, and PBL Works is like the mecca, the website for that I absolutely love. And this example is for grades 9 through 12. And the topic is lifting our voices, how we can use our voices to effect change. So this is another type of project or a type of an assessment that will help your students learn more about civic engagement and through digital media literacy. So that's what I have for you all today. And here are some more the resources and the websites. And looks like we're right on time here to have a little bit of a time for Q&A. I do have a survey at the end for you all if you wanted to fill that in, but I'll stop sharing now so we can have this chance to hear from you guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, Professor Megan. And we'd like to encourage our participants joining us in the Zoom meeting room and those who are tuned in, still tuning in via our YouTube live to send us questions. If you would like to hear some more tips on how we can do teaching of media literacy, civic engagement, and assessment, specifically in this new normal situation that we are in.
Or if anyone has any examples of what they've done in their classroom so that we can, learn from each other's experience as well.
Yeah, you may also would like to share your strategies, your activities, or the activities and strategies that you have tried before or that you're using now. Because
Mr. JP,
yeah,
have you used that in your classroom before?
yeah, with also this content-based instruction plus the PBL, and it's like there's I remember when I was still a classroom teacher, I taught what's this the circulatory system in English, using different media like videos and printed or soft copies of materials, and then I led my class to analyze whether the explanations, the information and the graphics that are placed in the text or in the materials are correct or incorrect, and what happens if this is correct and incorrect, and how do they explain that with other students from the other grade levels. So things like that. It's like mixture combination of different approaches.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I especially love the connection that you had there with the other classes. That's always a part. The difficult part is to organize those things, but you can see that when you actually follow through and do those things, that they become so fruitful for all of the participants.
Yeah. And also in our English class, like eighth grade, we have this African literature, and we talk about poems and stories, talking about the lives of our brothers and sisters in Africa, and incorporate that in English classes. And so that's also one way to incorporate social studies plus media literacy plus lesson in English.
Yeah.
How about the rest? We'll be happy to hear your stories or to read.
Ma'am Reggie, did you have your camera on? Did you want to share something? Or maybe it was just a...
You may also want to type your sharing or your question. Maybe they're still conceptualizing or finalizing the sharing that they'd like to give us tonight. Yeah, sir. Go ahead.
Hello. Well, actually, I'm with my wife right now, and we're both watching the seminar. And actually, she just called me here and asking me to answer the questions that just came out. And if I get it right, we are looking for strategies in order to see the connection between the media that we use and the society that we live in. And so let me share with you one of the instances that I have experienced. Well, for a good number of years now, we've been making short films with the students. And I just realized that in one occasion when we tried to enter one of the short films that we made into an international showcase of short films in Washington, in Seattle, there came a connection between the cultural aspects of the Philippines that we showed there and the native or indigenous aspects of culture in the area of Washington. It's quite um, strange or unusual for me because well, we're really worlds apart. And then we just realized that through media, we can have this kind of connection. We can still find this connection even between first world and third world countries. And so from that time on, I realized the power of short films, the short films that we use, and also moving media that we use in order to come up with a bit of deepening of what we have been of the years that we are trying to learn in school.
Wow, Vincenzo, thank you so much for that great example. I would love to see those videos, those short films. What do you have them on YouTube, or can you post a link so we can check those out?
Oh yes, ma'am, they're in YouTube.
Oh, awesome. Now, how can we search for it?
Um, I'll post the links here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll
Wow.
try to post the link here.
Wow, what a
Yeah.
great connection. I love that when that happens, when you think you might not have anything in common with someone, and then you use your creative way to find that. That's really awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
thank you so much. And I believe our teachers are also or have been doing, we have been asking our learners to do advocacy materials such as leaflets, um, drawings, slogans, so things like those. Mm.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's one question here from Anjo Tanala. What is your take about the use of media is an excuse for the traditional and experienced ones?
I think for me, thank you for your question. First of all, thank you for your participation. I think that in terms of um, replacing the traditional forms of media with new types of media, I think it's just something that's inevitable that's going to happen, and it's definitely user preference as well. So there might be some young folks out there who prefer to pick up a newspaper and read it, but maybe we just don't hear about those people. So it depends on what works for you, what's
No.
convenient for you. And whoever, I mean, what you like. And maybe if somebody shares something with you that you're really interested in. If so, for example, I have a friend who got me onto podcasts, and some different popular podcasts in the US are NPR. And so instead of it's actually quite a problem when I was living in Australia before I came back to the US last year. And when you turn on the radio there, you can listen to some news channels. But when I come back to the US, it's actually harder for me to find those news channels, or to find news channels that will play news that I'm interested in hearing about, like world news or things going on in my community. So a friend shared a podcast, and we have a great public news channel in the US called NPR, National Public Radio. And if you're ever interested in learning more about what's going on in the US at a community level, you can, listen to that. You can find it on anywhere you can listen to podcasts, but that's been a really great way for me. So it depends on what you're interested in. If you're more of a visual learner, if you like watching the news, or if you like listening to the news, and I guess what you know about as well. Maybe you're not aware of those things. So, I mean, I think, well, why don't we can try it now? Maybe we have time. If you guys can share the types of websites of news. I know that we did a little bit before when you were mentioning Facebook, YouTube, how we watch the news, but what are the channels that you watch? And if you have any great recommendations for some unbiased news. I see Rizamia. She says, learning through modular approach, asking them to create infographics regarding the topic. Rizamia, do you want to explain a little bit more about that?
Maybe she's sharing what she's doing. Because most of our students are on modular approach, meaning to say they have printed versions of the learning materials that we're sending them. And so part of the activities she asks learners to do is to create infographics.
And how do you teach them to do the infographics? Are you using Canva or some different type of platform?
I think in most cases on paper.
Oh, okay.
Because they're on modular approach, like more than or around 90% of our students do not have access to resources such as the internet or things like that for learning. Although most of them can have access in doing social media activities.
Mm-hmm. So is that that's right now, are the classes in person, or just not having them?
It's remote teaching and learning.
Okay, remote. Okay.
Maybe until the next school year. We're about to end our school year sometime in July of this year. And we're starting again in August.
Wow, no break. No break. Maybe a short break.
Yeah, a short break. About two weeks, I guess. But that's not yet final. And we have some more sharing here from Mayet.
Okay, yes, adjusting to needs of learners. Yeah, sometimes that's a really interesting point that you bring up, that they might be better at technology than we are, and we might need to ask them to teach us about the different strategies that they have. Yeah, and need to learn about what they enjoy. We could be wasting our time just talking about things that we like when we don't, share the same topics of interest. So that's also the 21st century approach, is to have the student-centered approach, right? So that we learn what they're interested in, and we kind of create our lesson for them, right? Lucky them.
Yeah, and we now have the link to the YouTube video as promised by Sir Nan.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Thank
you can have it. Yeah, and there's a feedback from Juzi La Rosa. It's true that there's no going backward. And as educators, we should better ourselves, or we should make ourselves better in these new media, regardless of age. And she wants to thank you, Professor Megan, for the sharing.
Oh, well, thank you for sharing your comment. That's great. Yep, no going back, right? How would we go back anyways? It's difficult to figure out, right?
That's great.
Okay. And what does Troadio, am I saying that name correctly? Barrett?
Yeah.
Inclusive education, normal classroom. Inclusive education best practices being applied in the US, applying on technology classes. Okay, so this is a really great topic. Thank you for bringing it up. And I think that in terms of, I'm not an expert on diversity or inclusion at all, but in terms of an approach that helps, make learners feel like they're all being included is by using examples from people with all different types of ethnic backgrounds or national backgrounds. So I think, as you all are aware, America gets this reputation as a melting pot, and we have lots of people from lots of different cultures, backgrounds, countries all living here. So it's important that we see a representative from all of those backgrounds in our literature, in our materials, and all of our resources. So that when we have a learner of that background, we see them having a role model who, a positive role model can be in an attainable position. So that's definitely a type of strategy that us as educators can use. I'm not sure about, does anyone else have any examples of how you all do that in the Philippines? Any other examples of catering inclusive education?
Yeah, we have our materials. We're adjusting our materials based on the needs and the context of people coming from different backgrounds. Like we're becoming more aware. We're now more considerate to their context and needs, unlike before. So we would like to make our materials gender sensitive, culture sensitive, sensitive to religious beliefs and backgrounds. So things like that. Although at
Yes.
some point, yeah, we still have a lot of us who are not so much aware and not responsive to the call of inclusive education, but then we are on our way to make the dream of inclusive education realized here in the Philippines.
Yeah, great point. That's really great information. And yeah, I completely forgot to mention about the genders and even about people who have disabilities, like, walking, hearing, vision. So when we're talking about being inclusive, it talks about everyone, right? Not just
Yeah,
few people. We have to think about people from all underrepresented areas.
yeah. When we include pictures of learners in the materials that we have, we see to it that we have male and female counterparts. We have uh, the appearance of those who have different, yeah, those who belong to cultural minorities, so that they are involved and they're considered in the educational landscape.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think something else I heard recently was in movies as well. I mean, apart from education, that the Hollywood is trying to be more inclusive as well. And I think they've hired some people with hearing difficulties, or some people who, like, they actually hire actors who are disabled for the different types of roles when they want to have a movie about a person who has a disability as well. So that's how that they can be represented.
Yeah, and these are things that we would like our learners to be open about when they approach materials, when they approach media. They are not just going to consume them, but they have to be critical in thinking whether these things are acceptable or at least conforming to certain advocacies and standards.
Yeah, and be acceptable to their, I mean, be have that feeling of inclusivity to their community as well, because once they see someone, they might be scared of someone from a different background if they don't know anything about them. But if they learn about their condition, or they learn about their background, they learn about their gender preference, then it creates a more inclusive community.
Yeah.
Wow, great
And we
topic there.
yeah, and we also have here in the Philippines the alternative learning system, which is shared by Sir Wilmer. So we also educate those out of school youth, those who who do not stay in school, regular school or regular program. So they avail of a different program, and so that they can still work and finish education.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done. Well done on that. That's
Mhm.
a great initiative. Awesome. Okay.
So are there some
Um,
more questions that you'd like to ask or any sharing that you'd like to let us know?
I see William also likes to use podcasts. That's great. Incorporating that digital media in there to help your learners become more literate. William, how do you assess the use of podcasts? Do you do like some listening comprehension, or how do you do that? Um, Vincenzo again says that he liked to watch the YouTube vlogs. Yeah, it's actually a great way to learn languages as well. As I mentioned before, I'm interested in language hacking, and that's one of the tips, is to watch vloggers in that target language that can help you learn about, the ways of speaking.
Yeah, that's good. And there's one question from Miss Arlene. Miss
Okay.
Megan, how can we monitor our children on the site they are visiting using their gadgets? I'm a worried mom because I can't be with them all the day to check their activities. Likewise, how can we guard them against harmful effects of media? Thank you so much.
Yeah, Arlene, great question. I think that this is a question that a lot of parents are struggling with, not just educators, but I guess number one would probably be to limit screen time, since they are living under your roof, or you're still their caretaker. You have that ability to take the phones away, right? Or to take the computer away, if you don't want your child to be, in terms of the harmful effects of media, but in terms of what they're viewing. I know that some platforms or some websites or computers, they have these settings where you can adjust the parental control settings. So anything that's going to be, over a certain age rating on there, that they won't be able to access. Um, but in terms of, monitoring what they're watching, you can check their history. When you look at their gadgets, you can see what they've been looking at. Or another way, I guess, would be just to ask them about it. Just like, hey, what are you watching? What do you think about that? Um, you know, why do you think you clicked that? What made you interested in clicking that? So it is difficult because we want to protect them, right? But I guess they're going to be adults one day, and we have to teach them, that's the importance of having to teach them these skills of being savvy um, users of digital media, so that they will be able to learn for themselves. There's this, maybe if we have time, I can share it. This one called Fake or Real Fact Finder. Let me try to find it here. There's a really great activity on this museum website where it talks about the fact finder. I can share my screen, I think, for this.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
I'm just trying to find the resources.
Okay, so while you're doing that, Professor Megan, also, I just would like to highlight that we really cannot watch or guard our children all the time. So what's best to do is to teach them the skills on how they are going to approach these media so that they are guided along the way. After all, as you said, everybody believes and knows that these kids are tech savvy, and they'll naturally find ways to be able to access sites that they wish to. You know.
Yep, definitely. Okay, I can't find it. Is there another question we can answer while I'm...
Yeah, here's another question. Prof. Megan, is differentiated instructions applying technology, activity sheets, and other approaches being practiced in the US? Would you like to share us how do you do it in the US?
Differentiated instructions on applying technology. I think in terms of what I've been hearing about in the US is just being really, I guess the word for it would be critical of how you spend your time online, to be careful, because children are still growing. And I think maybe we're not really sure of all of the effects of this, additional screen time. We know it's not good for our eyesight, that's for sure. That's why I'm wearing these glasses. But we we know that there might be some negative effects to having so much screen time. So in the US, I know that students, they don't have classes on Fridays if they're grades 1 through 5. I think in the elementary schools, they're definitely trying to limit the amount of screen time for them, to try to get them to do more physical activities at home, because of COVID, and not to have so many assignments that you have to spend on the computer. To, for example, have an assignment where you go out and you do something, I guess, or you talk to someone, not just using your computer, because it is a lot. It's a lot to spend the time. It is draining. We have these terms like Zoom fatigue.
Yeah.
And we have to make sure that when we're asking our students to meet with us, that it's really worth their time, because of, we're not sure of all of the effects that are going to be happening.
When I was there about 2 years ago, I saw that there's like a day for the kids to just spend time running around the campus, and there are they call it ninja, something like that, and the kids are enjoying it. So I was very happy to experience that.
Wow.
Seeing kids just run. I was in San Diego in 2019.
Oh, awesome. Cool. Yeah. I mean, California is probably one of the leaders in the United States for their educational approaches and differentiated, instructional techniques, and, project-based learning, and some really innovative thinking over there.
And maybe we can share some other time to our friends here and colleagues about differentiated instruction in terms of content, process, and products. Yeah, we'll give you more of these very soon, I think. Yeah,
Yes,
and
apply them in our classrooms.
I think we're almost down to a close. If you still have some questions, just let me know. And I think we can also elevate the questions to Professor Megan if she has time to answer, no? And she'll I think she'll be very happy to share with us some more. Yeah. Anything more that you'd like to add, Professor Megan?
I think that that's it. I think that as teachers, we're always trying to, it's a great thing to learn about these things, but I guess half the battle would be to learn how to implement them in the classroom as well. And given that we're all teaching online and, with this hybrid learning, or sometimes it's completely online learning, and, we don't know for how much longer we're going to have to be doing that as well until we go in person. So it's really smart to think about what resources we can use. And there are so many resources out there. I mean, just by doing the research of doing this presentation for you all, I saw so many things out there. So don't be scared of, spending some time to look at what's out there. And it can be intimidating to see, there are so many ed tech tools. And honestly, I don't know if I have the the brain capacity to learn anymore at this point. I'm kind of full of that, but to stay in contact with each other and learn about the best ones that are out there. If you do have one that's really awesome that you like to share, I always love that. And YouTube tutorials about how to use those ed tech tools as well, because they're going to influence how our students learn. And ask the students about which ones they like, make sure you make it learner centered, because that's how you're going to captivate and maintain that level of interest. That's all I have.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I feel that our audience, our participants would like to share some more. Anyway, we can continue our conversation in our professional development community Facebook group, and we'll be posting there about our insights, our significant takeaways. So before we end, before we do the survey, Professor Megan would like to present to you a certificate of recognition, though virtually only at this point in time. So let me read the citation. It says Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, Region 4A, Calabarzon, Coast Division of Calamba City. This certificate of recognition is awarded to Professor Megan Abramson for sharing her expertise, resulting to a meaningful engagement during the English for Media Literacy for Educators Camp-wide Meetup 4 conducted by the Department of Education, Calamba City. Given this 27th day of May 2021 through webinar via Zoom and YouTube live stream for 1.5 hours. Signed by our school's division superintendent, Madam Susan B.L. Orebiana.
Wow, what an honor. That's so amazing. It's definitely going to make me want to, continue working here. And this music is beautiful too. Thank you so much for the opportunity to meet you all and share with you this information. I hope you enjoyed it, and I definitely enjoyed spending time with you all.
Yeah, and once face-to-face trainings are permitted, and when you come to the Philippines, we'll be happy to receive you here in our division, to meet you personally and to learn some more from and with you. So once again, thank you so much. And we also would like to thank Ms. Connie Chico for staying with us. She's working at the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines. Prof. Megan, you may now share the survey. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to type it in the chat box, and then if you could share it on the YouTube chat box, that would be great.
Yeah, and please stay with us. You may now turn on your camera to join us in the photo opportunity. Is it okay with you, Prof. Megan, to do that?
Yeah,
definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay, so the link to the survey is there. Always would love to hear your feedback on the series. You have an opportunity to leave some comments, to tell us a little bit more about your own professional development experience, so that we can continue to cater to you and to make these activities as interactive and as interesting for you all as possible.
Dean, Ms. Tam, can you do the taking of the photos? Is it okay? Yeah. Show us your best smile. There you go. And we're very sorry for those who are joining us via the YouTube that we can't do this. That's why we encourage you to join us via Zoom next time.
And what about the certificate for everyone else? Will they get that
Yeah.
at the end?
Yeah, once we finish all the tasks for the MOOC camp, we'll be receiving one from the US Embassy in the Philippines.
Wow, that's
what
going to
we
be
get.
amazing.
Yeah, apart from the certificate that they're getting from the provider of the course.
Thank you.
Thank you so much once again, everybody. Ma'am Susan, the CID and SGOD chiefs, the EPSS, PSDSS, our school heads, and our teacher participants who have joined us tonight. And I hope that you learned something from tonight's engagement. And we'll see you again on our 5th and final meetup for the course, English for Media Literacy for Educators. So this has been a very long day and we can call it a night. Maraming salamat. And let's keep safe all the time. Stay blessed, everybody. Goodbye and good night. Sir Beam, Miss Pam, thank you so much.
Thank you po,
Thank you, sir.
Jeremy.
Thank you, sir.
Pwede na tayo mag-rest mula sa 8 o'clock to 8:30. 8:30 to 8:30 engagement natin. 12 hours.
Oo nga po, sir.
Sige. Enjoy the
Thank you
night.
po.
The rest. Maraming salamat po. See you again next time.